Dr. Kelly Wright had seen many strange things in her 15 years as a scientist, but nothing quite like what sat on the metal table in front of her. The piece of armor gleamed under the laboratory lights, its surface shifting between silver and deep purple like oil on water. It was about the size of a dinner plate, curved like it was meant to fit over someone's chest. "This came from the Nevada site," Agent Thompson said, setting down a thick file folder. "Same location as the 1947 incident. Our team found it buried about 50 feet underground." Kelly's research partner, Dr. Alex Rivera, leaned forward in his chair. Alex was the kind of person who wanted to touch everything, take it apart, and figure out how it worked. It's what made him brilliant at his job, but sometimes Kelly worried it would get him in trouble. "How old do you think it is?" Alex asked, his eyes fixed on the strange object. "That's what we need you to find out, Agent," Thompson replied. "But be careful. We've had some unusual readings from this piece." Kelly pulled on her protective gloves and picked up her scanner. The moment she turned it on near the armor, the device started beeping rapidly. The electromagnetic readings were off the charts. She'd never seen anything like it. "Alex, look at this." She called her partner over. "The energy signature is incredible. It's almost like it's powered by something, but there's no visible power source." Alex stood up and walked closer to the table. As he approached, something strange happened. The armor's surface began to ripple like water when you drop a stone in it. The purple color became more pronounced, pulsing gently. "Did you see that?" Alex whispered. "It reacted to me." Kelly felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years studying unusual objects, she'd never seen anything that seemed to respond to human presence. Alex stepped back. "Let me run some more. Tests first." But Alex was already fascinated. He pulled up a chair and sat down just 3 feet from the armor. The readings on Kelly's scanner went crazy. The numbers were jumping around so fast she could barely read them. "This is incredible," Alex said, his voice full of wonder. "It's like it knows I'm here." Kelly watched as the armor's surface continued to ripple and pulse. The pattern reminded her of breathing or maybe a heartbeat. "Alex, I think we need to be very careful with this thing. These readings suggest it's not just a piece of equipment." "What do you mean?" Alex asked. But he didn't look away from the armor. "I mean, it might be alive somehow, or at least it's responding to biological signals." Kelly showed him the scanner. "Readings. Look at these patterns. They're not random. It's like it's trying to communicate." Alex laughed. "Come on, Kelly, you're being too cautious. It's just a piece of metal." "Advanced metal, sure, but still just metal." Kelly wasn't convinced. She'd been studying strange objects for years, and she'd learned to trust her instincts. Something about this armor felt different, almost dangerous. "Alex, promise me you won't touch it without running more tests first." "Of course," Alex said, but Kelly could see in his eyes that he was already planning to examine it more closely. Over the next few hours, Kelly ran every test she could think of. The armor was made of materials that didn't exist on Earth. It contained elements that weren't on the periodic table. But the most disturbing discovery was that it seemed to be learning from their presence. "Look at this," Kelly said, showing Alex her computer screen. "The first time we scanned it, the energy output was random. But now, after 6 hours of testing, it's creating patterns that match our brainwaves." Alex studied the data. "That's impossible. How could it know our brainwave patterns?" "I don't know, but it's happening. And there's something else." Kelly pulled up another screen. "The temperature readings show that it's warming up. When we first started, it was room temperature. It's almost as warm as human body temperature." Alex stood up and walked toward the armor again. This time, the reaction was even stronger. The surface didn't just ripple, it actually seemed to reach toward him, like it was trying to touch his hand. "Alex, don't get any closer," Kelly warned. "I think this thing is designed to bond with biological material, and I don't think that bonding is reversible." But Alex was mesmerized. "Kelly, what if this is the discovery of the century? What if this is actual alien technology that's designed to work with humans?" "That's exactly what I'm afraid of," Kelly replied. "We don't know what working with humans means to whoever made this thing. It could be helpful, or it could be dangerous." Agent Thompson returned to the lab later that evening to check on their progress. When Kelly showed him the readings, his face went pale. "Dr. Wright, I need to ask you to be extremely careful with this object. We've been in contact with other research teams, and they've found similar pieces. Every team that has studied them has reported the same thing. The objects seem to be waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" Alex asked. "We don't know. We think they're all connected somehow. We think they're looking for hosts." Kelly felt her blood run cold. Hosts. Biological hosts. Living beings that they can bond with permanently. Agent Thompson picked up the file folder. "We've had reports of people experiencing strange dreams after being near these objects." Dreams. About wearing the armor, about feeling powerful, about being chosen for some kind of mission. Alex suddenly looked uncomfortable. What kind of dreams? Dreams about flying, about having incredible strength, about knowing things that happened on other worlds. Agent Thompson studied Alex's face. "Dr. Rivera, have you been having any unusual dreams lately?" Kelly watched as Alex's face changed. She could see in his eyes that he had been having dreams, probably the exact kind Agent Thompson was describing. "Alex," Kelly said softly, "you need to stay away from this thing. I think it's already starting to affect you." Alex shook his head. "You're both being paranoid? So what if I've had a few strange dreams?" "That doesn't mean anything. We're scientists. We're supposed to study things, not run away from them." Agent Thompson closed the file folder. "Dr. Rivera, I'm going to be very clear with you. This object is not just a piece of alien technology. We believe it's a weapon, not a weapon that destroys, but a weapon that changes. And we think it's been waiting a very long time to find the right person to change." Kelly looked at the armor, which was now pulsing with a steady rhythm that reminded her of a heartbeat. "Alex, please. Let's move slowly with this. Let's run more tests, bring in more equipment, maybe even study it from another room." Alex stared at the armor for a long moment. Kelly could see the struggle in his eyes, his scientific curiosity fighting against their warnings. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, we'll be careful." "But Kelly, this could be the most important discovery in human history. Can't just ignore it because we're scared." Kelly hoped he meant it. But as she watched Alex look at the armor one more time before they left the lab, she had a terrible feeling that their warnings wouldn't be enough. The armor seemed to be calling to him, and she was afraid that eventually he would answer that call. That night, Kelly couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the way the armor had reached toward Alex, the way it had learned their brain patterns, the way it seemed to be alive. She had a feeling that tomorrow would bring changes none of them were prepared for, and deep down, she knew that no matter how many times she warned Alex, his curiosity would eventually win. The armor was patient, and it was getting stronger. Soon it would find its way to bond with someone. And when it did, nothing would ever be the same. Alex couldn't sleep. For the third night in a row, he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts about the armor. The dreams had gotten stronger since yesterday. In them, he was flying through space, seeing distant worlds, feeling more powerful than he'd ever felt in his life. But the strangest part was that in these dreams, he wasn't alone. There was a voice, gentle and ancient, speaking to him in a language he somehow understood. "You are the one we have waited for," the voice would say. "You are ready to become more than human." Alex shook his head and looked at his clock. It was 4:30 in the morning. Kelly wouldn't be at the lab for another 4 hours. Maybe he could go in early, run a few simple tests, just to satisfy his curiosity. Nothing dangerous, just a closer look. He got dressed quietly and drove to the research facility. The security guard, Mike, was surprised to see him so early. Couldn't sleep either. "Doc," Mike asked with a tired smile, "that weird piece of metal has been keeping half the night shift awake." Strange humming sounds coming from the lab. Alex felt his heart skip a beat. Humming sounds. Started around midnight. Loud. Just ... present, like it's trying to talk to someone. Mike handed Alex his security badge. "Get careful in there, Doc. That thing gives me the creeps." Alex walked through the empty hallways, his footsteps echoing in the silence. When he reached the lab, he could hear it too, a low musical humming that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. He opened the door and flipped on the lights. The armor was glowing, not brightly, but with a soft, pulsing light that matched the rhythm of the humming. Alex approached slowly, his scientific mind trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The surface was moving more actively now, rippling like liquid mercury, and the purple color had deepened to an almost royal shade. Incredible, Alex whispered to himself. It's definitely reacting to my presence. He pulled up a chair and sat down about 5 feet away from the table. The humming grew slightly louder, and the glow intensified. Alex felt drawn to move closer, but Kelly's warnings echoed in his mind. He decided to just observe for now. As he watched, patterns began to form on the armor's surface. They looked almost like words, but in a script he'd never seen before. The symbols appeared and disappeared in a flowing sequence, like a message being written and rewritten continuously. "What are you trying to tell me?" Alex asked out loud, feeling a bit foolish for talking to an object. The moment he spoke, the armor's reaction changed dramatically. The humming stopped, and the surface became completely still. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, slowly, new symbols began to appear. These were different, simpler, more geometric. And somehow, Alex found that he could almost understand. The symbols seemed to be saying, welcome or greeting or something similar. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest, like the feeling you get when you meet someone you've been waiting to see for a long time. "This is amazing," Alex said to himself. "It's actually trying to communicate with me." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone to record what was happening. But the moment he held up the device, the armor's surface went completely dark. The humming stopped, and the symbols disappeared. No, don't stop," Alex said, putting his phone away. "I'm not trying to harm you. I just want to understand." Slowly, the glow returned. The armor seemed to be considering whether to trust him. Finally, the symbols reappeared, but this time they were different. They showed images, pictures of stars, of distant planets, of beings that looked almost human, but not quite. Alex leaned forward, fascinated. "Are you showing me where you came from?" The images changed, showing what looked like a great journey through space, then a crash, then darkness for a very long time. Finally, the images showed the armor waiting, searching, looking for something. "Now you've been looking for someone," Alex said, understanding flooding through him. "You've been waiting for the right person to find you." The armor's glow intensified, and Alex felt a pull unlike anything he'd ever experienced. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was a deep, almost desperate need to touch the armor, to make contact, to complete whatever process had begun. The moment he first saw it, he stood up and moved closer to the table. The armor's surface began to ripple more violently, and the humming returned, louder and more complex. It sounded almost like singing now, like a choir of voices welcoming him. "Home." "I know," Kelly said. "Not to touch you," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I think you need me too." His hand was trembling as he reached toward the armor. Just as his fingers were about to make contact, he heard the lab door open behind him. "Alex, what are you doing here so early?" Kelly's voice cut through the humming like a knife. "And what is that sound?" Alex turned around, his hand still extended toward the armor. "Kelly, you need to see this. It's been communicating with me. It's showing me things, incredible things." Kelly dropped her coffee cup, and it shattered on the floor. "Alex, step away from that thing right now. Look at it." Alex turned back to the armor and gasped. The glow was now so bright it was almost blinding, and the surface was reaching upward, like fingers trying to grab something. The humming had become a roar, and the entire table was vibrating. "It's calling to me, Kelly," Alex said, his voice strange and distant. "It's been waiting for me specifically. I can feel it." "Alex, no!" Kelly shouted, running toward him. "Whatever you're feeling, it's not real. It's manipulating you." But Alex was no longer listening. The pull was too strong, the need too overwhelming. His scientific mind had been completely overwhelmed by something deeper, something that felt like destiny. "I'm sorry, Kelly," he said, and before she could reach him, He pressed his palm against the armor's surface. The moment his skin made contact, everything changed. The roaring stopped, replaced by a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The blinding light softened to a warm, golden glow, and Alex felt a sensation unlike anything he'd ever experienced, like coming home after a lifetime of being lost. The armor began to flow like liquid, spreading up his arm and across his chest. It didn't hurt, in fact. It felt wonderful. Like being embraced by someone who loved him completely. Alex could feel the armor's consciousness touching his mind, sharing memories of distant worlds and ancient civilizations. "Alex," Kelly screamed, grabbing his other arm and trying to pull him away. "Fight it! You can still fight it!" But Alex was smiling, his eyes filled with wonder and peace. "Kelly, it's beautiful. I can see everything, the whole universe, all of time and space, and I understand now. I understand why it chose me." The armor continued to spread across his body, and with each inch it covered, Alex felt himself becoming something more than human. He could sense electromagnetic fields, hear radio waves, feel the rotation of the earth beneath his feet. Most importantly, he could feel the presence of others, the consciousness of an entire race of beings, who had been waiting patiently for this moment. Kelly watched in horror as her friend, Ghana and colleague disappeared beneath the flowing metal. Within minutes, the transformation was complete. Alex stood before her, his entire body covered in the beautiful, terrible armor, his eyes glowing with the same soft light. "Hello, Kelly," he said, and his voice was the same but different, deeper, more musical, with harmonics that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Don't be afraid. I'm still Alex, I'm just ... more now." Kelly backed away, tears streaming down her face. "What have you done? What have you become?" Alex looked down at his transformed body, flexing his fingers and watching the armor respond to his thoughts. "I've become what I was always meant to be, to bridge between your world and theirs. The guardian they've been waiting centuries to awaken." And for the first time since the armor had arrived, Kelly understood that her warnings had come too late. The bonding was complete, and there was no going back. 1 week had passed since Alex bonded with the armor, and Kelly barely recognized her research partner anymore. He still looked like Alex mostly, but there were changes that made her stomach twist with worry every time she looked at him. The armor had become like a second skin, smooth and seamless across his entire body. It shifted between silver and deep purple, depending on his mood, and sometimes Kelly could swear she saw it breathing. Alex's eyes now had flecks of the same purple color, and when he was thinking deeply, they would glow softly. "Kelly, watch." "This," Alex said, walking over to a heavy metal cabinet that usually took 2 people to move. He placed one hand on its side and lifted it effortlessly, holding it above his head like it weighed nothing. "I feel stronger than I ever have in my life." Kelly made notes on her tablet, trying to stay professional, even though her heart was breaking. "How much stronger would you estimate? 10 times? Maybe 20? Alex set the cabinet down gently. "But it's not just strength. I can hear radio signals, feel electromagnetic fields, even sense the electrical activity in your brain when you're thinking hard about something." That last part made Kelly shiver. "Alex, that's not normal. You're reading my thoughts?" "Not reading them exactly. More like feeling their energy." Alex sat down across from her, and she noticed he didn't need to blink as often anymore. "Kelly, I know this is scary for you, but I need you to understand I'm not losing myself. I'm becoming something better." Kelly wanted to argue, but she'd seen the changes for herself. Alex no longer needed to sleep more than 2 hours a night. He hadn't eaten solid food in 3 days, claiming the armor somehow provided all the nutrition he needed. Most disturbing of all, he'd started speaking in a language that didn't exist on Earth, musical, flowing words that seemed to come from deep in his chest. "Tell me about the dreams," Kelly said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Having them?" Alex's expression grew distant, and his eyes began to glow brighter. "They're not dreams anymore, Kelly. They're memories. I can see their world, Zephyria, they called it. It was beautiful, with purple skies and silver oceans. The people there lived in harmony with technology that was alive, just like this armor." "Their world?" Kelly asked.
"Alex,
"Whose memories are these?" "The Zephyrians. They were explorers, scientists like us. But their planet was dying, and they had to leave. They sent out these armors to find compatible beings on other worlds, hoping to preserve their knowledge and culture. Kelly felt cold. Compatible beings? You mean hosts? Alex nodded, but he didn't seem troubled by the word. It's not parasitic, Kelly. It's a partnership. It's not taking over my mind. They're sharing it. And still have all my memories, all my thoughts. But now I also have theirs. And what do they want you to do with all this shared knowledge? Lex stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city sprawled beneath them, millions of people going about their daily lives with no idea that everything was about to change. They want me to find the others. Others. There are more pieces of armor scattered across the earth. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They've been waiting for the right time to activate. And now that I've bonded with this one, the others are waking up too. Kelly's blood ran cold. Alex, you can't be serious. You're talking about changing other people the way you've been changed. I'm talking about giving them a gift, Alex said, turning back to her. Kelly, you should see what I can see now. Can perceive colors that don't have names, hear music in the movement of atoms, understand the language of quantum mechanics as easily as speaking English. This isn't a curse, it's evolution. Kelly stood up and walked toward him. Alex, listen to me. You're my friend, and I care about you. But look at yourself. Really look. You're not human anymore. Alex looked down at his hands, watching the armor shift and flow like living metal. Maybe being human isn't enough anymore. Maybe it's time for something better. Better for who? For you. Or for the aliens who made that armor. For the first time since the bonding, Alex looked uncertain. I don't know anymore. Sometimes I can't tell where my thoughts end and theirs begin. But Kelly, I can feel their sadness, their loneliness. They lost everything. Their world, their people, their future. Through me, they have a chance to live again. Kelly reached out and touched his arm. The armor felt warm, almost alive. And what about your future? About the life you had? Planned. Alex covered her hand with his. Hey, this is my future now. I can feel it calling to me, pulling me toward something incredible. There's a place in the mountains, about 200 miles north of here. There's something there, something important. I need to go, Alex. No, stay here. Let me run more tests. Maybe we can find a way to reverse this. Alex shook his head. I don't want to reverse it. But I understand if you can't accept what I've become. He walked toward the door, then paused. Kelly, I want you to know that our friendship still means everything to me. The human part of me, the part that will always be Alex, will never forget your kindness. Kelly felt tears running down her face. Don't talk like you're saying goodbye. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying see you later. Because this is just the beginning of something much bigger than either of us imagined. After Alex left, Kelly sat alone in the laboratory, staring at the empty table where the armor had first appeared. She pulled out her phone and called Agent Thompson. Agent Thompson, it's Dr. Wright. We have a problem. Alex has left the facility, and he's talking about finding more pieces of armor. I think he's going to try to activate them. Where is he headed? North, into the mountains. He seemed to know exactly where he was going, like something was calling to him. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Dr. Wright, I need you to pack up all your research immediately. We're moving you to a secure location. Why? What's happening? We've been monitoring electromagnetic anomalies around the world. In the last week, we've detected 17 separate locations where similar energy signatures have appeared. We think Dr. Rivera's transformation has triggered a global activation of these artifacts. Kelly felt the room spin around her. 17 locations. You mean there are 17 more people who might go through what Alex went through? Or worse. Right. We don't know if all the armors are designed to be AS cooperative as the one Dr. Rivera bonded with. Some of them might be more aggressive. In their assimilation process, Kelly looked out the window at the city below. Somewhere out there, more pieces of alien technology were waking up, looking for hosts. And her friend Alex, who was no longer entirely human, was going to help them find what they were looking for. Agent Thompson, she said quietly, I think we've made a terrible mistake. We thought we were studying the armor, but it was studying us. It was learning how to become part of us. And now it's too late to stop what we've started. Maybe not too late. Dr. Wright, but we're going to need your help to understand what we're dealing with. Pack everything. We leave in 1 hour. Kelly hung up the phone and looked around the laboratory one last time. Everything looked normal. The computers, the equipment, the charts on the walls. But she knew that normal was over. The world was about to change in ways that no one could predict. And it had all started with a single moment of curiosity and a warning that came too late, as she gathered her research. Kelly couldn't shake the feeling that Alex was right about one thing. This was just the beginning.
Yes.
The question was whether. What came next would be evolution or invasion. She was terrified that by the time they figured it out, it would be too late to make a difference. 2 months had passed since Alex disappeared into the mountains, and the world had become a very different place. Kelly sat in the underground government facility, surrounded by dozens of monitors showing electromagnetic readings from around the globe. Each screen told the same terrifying story. The armor pieces were activating everywhere. Dr. Wright, we have another one. Agent Thompson called from across the room. This time in Norway. A research team found a piece of armor in an ice cave, and one of their members made contact 6 hours ago. Kelly looked at the satellite footage on the main screen. In the Norwegian mountains, a figure moved with impossible speed and grace, leaving a trail of blue light in the snow. It was the same pattern they'd seen in 17 other locations around the world. Has there been any word from Alex? Kelly asked, though she already knew the answer. Nothing direct. But our satellites have tracked him to a location in the Rocky Mountains. He seems to have found what he was looking for. Agent Thompson pulled up another screen showing aerial footage of a mountain valley. In the center was something that looked like a crashed spaceship, partially buried and covered with centuries of growth. But now it was glowing with the same purple light as Alex's armor. We think it's their main ship, Agent Thompson explained, the source of all the armor pieces. And Dr. Rivera has been there for 3 weeks, doing something that's causing energy readings we can't even measure.
Kelly?
Felt her heart sink. He's activating more of them, isn't he? We believe so. But that's not the worst part. Agent Thompson's face was grim. Dr. Wright, we need to tell you something. We've been in contact with some of the other people who bonded with the armor. They're all saying the same thing Alex said, that they're not losing themselves. They're becoming something better? You've talked to them? A few of them? Yes. Dr. Chen in Tokyo, Professor Williams in London, Dr. Rodriguez in Mexico City. They all report the same experiences, enhanced abilities, shared memories of an alien world, and a strong compulsion to find and activate more armor pieces. Kelly pulled up her own research files on her computer. Agent Thompson, I've been analyzing the brain scans we took of Alex before and after the bonding. The changes aren't just physical, his neural patterns have been completely reorganized. It's like his brain has been rewired to accommodate an entirely different way of thinking. Are you saying they're not human anymore? I'm saying they're human plus something else. The alien consciousness isn't replacing their minds, it's merging with them, creating something new. Kelly showed him the brain scan data. Look at these activity patterns. Alex's creativity and problem-solving abilities have increased by over 300%. His memory capacity appears to be unlimited. And his emotional responses have become more complex, like he's feeling things that humans don't normally feel. Agent Thompson studied the data. But are they still loyal to humanity? Or are they loyal to their new alien partners? Before Kelly could answer, every screen in the room suddenly went dark. Then, slowly, they all displayed the same image, Alex's face, but changed. His skin had a metallic sheen, his eyes glowed with soft purple light, and when he spoke, his voice had harmonics that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Agent Thompson. I hope you're both well. Kelly stood up, her heart racing. Alex, how are you doing this? Alex smiled, and it was still recognizably him, even with all the changes. The ship has communication systems that can reach anywhere on Earth. I wanted to talk to you before you make any decisions you might regret. What kind of decisions? Agent Thompson demanded. The decision to try to stop us. I know you're planning military action, Agent Thompson. I can sense the electromagnetic signatures of your weapons being prepared, but I need you to understand something first. Alex's image was replaced by footage of the other armor-bonded individuals around the world. In Tokyo, Dr. Chen was using her enhanced abilities to heal injured people in a hospital, her touch somehow accelerating their recovery. In London, Professor Williams was solving mathematical equations that had puzzled scientists for decades. In Mexico City, Dr. Rodriguez was purifying contaminated water using technology that seemed to appear from thin air. We're not invaders. Alex's voice continued as the images played. We're partners. The Zephyrians aren't trying to conquer your world. They're trying to save it. And us. Kelly leaned closer to the screen. Save it from what? Alex's face reappeared, and his expression was serious. Kelly, do you remember studying the extinction events in Earth's history? It's the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, the volcanic eruptions that nearly wiped out all life. Those weren't accidents. There are forces in the universe that destroy worlds, and Earth is next on their list. Agent Thompson scoffed. And we're supposed to just take your word for that? Look at your own satellite data from the past 5 years, Alex replied. The asteroid impacts have been increasing, the solar radiation levels are rising. Your scientists have detected gravitational anomalies that suggest something massive is approaching your solar system. They just haven't been able to piece it all together yet. Kelly felt cold. She remembered reading reports about unexplained astronomical phenomena, but the government had classified most of them. Alex, are you saying that bonding with the armor is the only way to survive whatever's coming? Not the only way, but the best way. The Zephyrians survived for thousands of years longer than they should have because of this technology. When their world was destroyed, the armor preserved their knowledge, their culture, their essence. Now they're offering the same chance too. Humanity. Agent Thompson was typing furiously on his keyboard. Even if what you're saying is true, how do we know we can trust you? You're not fully human anymore. Alex's expression softened. Agent Thompson, I'm more human than I've ever been. The armor doesn't take away what makes us human. It enhances it. I still love the same music. I still worry about my family. I still care deeply about Kelly and everyone I've ever known. But now I also understand things that were impossible for me to grasp before. Kelly stepped closer to the screen. Alex, if this is really about saving humanity, why didn't the Zephyrians just explain that from the beginning? Why all the secrecy? Because they learned from their own mistakes. When the destroyers came for their world, the Zephyrians tried. To fight them with weapons and armies, it didn't work. The only thing that saved any of them was adaptation, becoming something that could survive what pure biology couldn't. They knew that if they simply told humans what was coming, you would try to fight it the same way they did. And you would fail the same way they did. The screens showed more footage of the bonded individuals. They weren't just using their enhanced abilities for personal gain, they were healing the sick, cleaning polluted environments, and sharing advanced knowledge freely. But Kelly noticed something else in their eyes, something that made her deeply uneasy. Alex, she said quietly, you all look so ... distant, like you're seeing something the rest of us can't see. Are you still connected to us, or are you becoming something completely separate? Alex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was sadder than she'd ever heard it. Kelly, I won't lie to you. Every day it becomes harder to relate to purely human concerns. When you can perceive the movement of galaxies and feel the pulse of quantum fields, worrying about things like money or social status seems ... small. But my love for humanity hasn't diminished. If anything, it's grown stronger because now I can see how precious and fragile you all are. Agent Thompson had been listening to everything with growing alarm. Dr. Rivera, what exactly are you asking us to do? I'm asking you to trust us. Let us prepare Earth for what's coming. Help us find volunteers who are willing to bond with the remaining armor pieces. And most importantly, don't try to stop us because we're the only chance humanity has of surviving. The next 10 years? Kelly looked at Agent Thompson, then back at the screen. And if we refuse? Alex's image flickered, and for a moment, Kelly saw something behind his familiar features, something vast and ancient and utterly alien. Then it was gone, and he was just Alex again. "Then we'll do what we have to do anyway," he said simply. "Because saving humanity is worth any price, even if humanity doesn't want to be saved." The screens went dark, leaving Kelly and Agent Thompson alone in the underground facility. Surrounded by data they barely understood and faced with a choice. That would determine the future of their entire species. 6 months later, Kelly stood on the roof of the research facility, looking up at the night sky. Everything had changed. The stars themselves seemed different now, brighter and more active. Alex had been right about the approaching danger. NASA had finally confirmed what the bonded individuals had been saying all along. Something massive was heading toward Earth, something that had already destroyed dozens of other worlds. "Dr. Wright?" Agent Thompson's voice came from behind her. "He's here." Kelly turned around to see Alex landing gracefully on the rooftop. But the man who touched down wasn't quite the same person who had disappeared into the mountains 6 months ago. His entire body was now covered in the flowing living armor, which shifted between silver and deep purple like liquid starlight. His eyes glowed with a constant gentle light, and when he moved, it was with a grace that seemed to defy gravity. "Hello, Kelly," Alex said, and his voice was like music now, with harmonics that made her feel both comforted and slightly sad. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Kelly had to remind herself that this was still her friend, even though he looked like something from a dream. "Alex, you look ... different." Alex smiled, and she could still see traces of the man she'd known. "I feel different too. But Kelly, I need you to know that the part of me that cares about you, that values our friendship, that part is still here. It's actually stronger now than it ever was." Agent Thompson stepped forward, his hand resting on his weapon. "Dr. Rivera, our satellites show that you've been busy. 17 new bonding sites have been activated in the past month. How many more people are you planning to change?" "As many as necessary," Alex replied calmly, "and as many as are willing." "We're not forcing anyone, Agent Thompson. Every person who has bonded with the armor has chosen to do so after understanding what it means." Kelly looked at the tablet in her hands, showing reports from around the world. "Alex, the people you've changed. They're not just helping anymore. They're taking control." The bonded individual in Brazil shut down 3 logging operations last week. The one in China stopped a nuclear weapons test. The one in Australia redirected a mining company's equipment to clean up ocean pollution instead. Alex nodded. "And the world is already beginning to heal because of it. Kelly, do you remember what Earth's atmosphere was like when we were children? The air was harder to breathe, the water was more polluted, and entire species were going extinct. Every day. In just 6 months, the bonded individuals have reversed decades of damage. But at what cost?" Agent Thompson demanded. "You're making decisions for all of humanity without asking permission. You're bypassing governments, ignoring laws, and acting like you know what's best for everyone." Alex was quiet for a moment, his glowing eyes looking up at the stars. "Agent Thompson, in 3 years, everything you're worried about protecting will be gone if we don't act. The destroyers aren't interested in your laws or your governments. They're only interested in consuming every living thing they encounter." Kelly stepped closer to Alex. "Tell me about them, these destroyers. What are they exactly?" Alex's expression became distant, and Kelly could see that he was accessing memories that weren't originally his. "They're machines, Kelly. Machines built by a civilization that died out billions of years ago. But these machines kept going, programmed to find worlds with life and strip them of everything useful. They've destroyed thousands of planets, entire star systems. Zephyrians called them the Harvesters. You think bonding with alien armor is going to stop them? I think it's the only thing that can stop them." Zephyrians studied them. For centuries before their world fell, conventional weapons, even nuclear weapons, are useless against them. But the armor technology creates a connection between biological consciousness and quantum energy fields. It makes us capable of things that pure machines can't understand or counter. Agent Thompson was taking notes furiously. "How long do we have?" "Less than 3 years. Maybe less than 2. Alex looked directly at Kelly. "That's why I need to ask you something, and I need you to really think about your answer." Kelly felt her heart skip a beat. "What kind of question?" Alex reached into a compartment in his armor and pulled out another piece, smaller than the one he had originally bonded with, but glowing with the same inner light. There are still people I care about who aren't protected. The bonding process is easier now that we understand it better. The armor has learned to work more cooperatively with human consciousness. Kelly stared at the armor piece in his hands. Alex, you're asking me to become like you? I'm asking you to become more than you are now. Kelly, you've seen the brain scans. You know what the armor does to human cognitive ability? Imagine being able to understand the universe the way we do now. Imagine being able to help save not just Earth, but potentially thousands of other worlds that the harvesters haven't reached yet. Agent Thompson stepped between them. Dr. Wright, don't listen to him. We still don't know the long-term effects of this bonding, for all we know. It could be slowly erasing their humanity entirely. Alex's expression became sad. Agent Thompson, I understand your concerns, but look at the evidence. The bonded individuals aren't becoming monsters. They're becoming healers, teachers, and guardians. Yes, we're different from pure humans now, but we're different in ways that make us more capable of protecting what we love. Kelly took the armor piece from Alex's hands. It was warm, almost like living skin, and she could feel it responding to her touch. What would happen to me? Would I still be me? It would still be you, but you would also be more. You would have access to thousands of years of Zephyrian knowledge. You would be able to perceive reality in ways that would help you understand problems that currently seem impossible to solve. And most importantly, you would be protected when the harvesters arrive. Kelly looked at Agent Thompson, then back at Alex, and if I say no, Alex's armor dimmed slightly. Then I will respect your choice, and I will do everything in my power to protect you anyway. But Kelly, I won't lie to you. The chances of unenhanced humans surviving what's coming are very small. Agent Thompson grabbed Kelly's arm.
Dr. Wright.
Think about what you're considering. This isn't just about you. If you bond with that thing, you'll become part of their group. You'll start thinking like them, making decisions like them. You could lose everything that makes you human. Kelly held the armor piece up to the light. Through its surface, she could see patterns moving like neural networks or flowing thoughts. Alex, are you happy with what you've become? Alex smiled, and for a moment he looked exactly like the friend she remembered from the laboratory. Kelly, I've never been happier. I can see the beauty in things I never noticed before. I can understand concepts that used to be completely beyond me. And I feel connected to something larger and more meaningful than anything I experienced as a purely human being. Kelly closed her eyes and thought about everything that had happened since that first day in the laboratory. She thought about Alex's warnings that she had ignored, about the changes she had witnessed, and about the choice she now faced. Kelly, Alex said softly, I know this is scary, but I also know that you've always been driven by curiosity and the desire to help people. This is your chance to do both on a scale that was never possible before. Kelly opened her eyes and looked at her friend, her changed, enhanced, possibly still human friend. If I do this, will you promise me something? Anything? Promise me that no matter how much we change, no matter what we become, we'll always remember why we wanted to be scientists in the first place. Wanted to understand the universe and make life better for everyone. Alex's armor glowed brighter, and his smile was radiant. Kelly, that's exactly what we're doing. It's just on a much bigger scale than we ever imagined. Kelly took a deep breath and pressed the armor piece against her chest. The moment it made contact, she felt the same sensation Alex had described, like coming home after a lifetime of being lost. And as the armor began to spread across her body, she realized that some warnings are meant to be ignored, and some choices are too important to make based on fear alone. The transformation had begun, and with it, humanity's last hope for survival against the coming darkness.